Hello and welcome to the Same Cas Different Day podcast. I'm Martel Roland.
And I am Tina.
I'm sorry if y'all hear the fan in the background, but somebody was cooking, so the heat rose upstairs, so it's like really hot. So I'm sorry about that.
Oh,
But
where my plate at?
to get things, huh?
Where my plate at?
I didn't cook. I freeloaded.
Mm, mm.
But to get things started, I felt like I haven't had a drink in a while with Tina Marie on the podcast. So
Yay! Hold on, wait.
yay, clink clink.
Clink, clink.
Yes, with the Same Cas Different Day shot glass.
Mm. Yay!
Woo!
I'm
I ain't
so
gonna
proud of you.
lie to you. I've been drinking all day, by the way. Huh?
Y'all, he just be doing stuff on a whim and don't be inviting me to the party at all.
So I started drinking at like 10 o'clock this morning.
You
Hello,
didn't
Chris.
invite me to
How are you
the party.
doing? Hello. Well, see what had happened was I figured that since you was a mom, that because you be so busy during the week, so I figured out you was sleeping in, so I was already up drinking.
I was woke. Stop. You know what? Stop making them excuses and start including me. I don't
Oh,
appreciate. I don't
oh, my
appreciate. Mm,
bad.
mm.
So to kick the show off, there has been a lot of teen deaths lately within the city of Milwaukee. Over the last week, like surprisingly, I think today or yesterday, like the first time an actual adult we heard about somebody being killed or whatever was yesterday. But over the last week, has all been teenagers, and one of the recent ones, was I was at home, right, y'all. Like I got let me build the story up. So I'm at home, right? This is Thursday. And I'm sitting there and I'm just playing Xbox. I'm mad, losing on Madden, so I'm mad as hell. So next thing I hear a bunch of fire trucks and stuff. So my house must be on fire. That's so sad. And then after I hear the fire trucks, then I hear a bunch of police cars. I'm like, well, damn, what's going on? All these police cars going on? Like somebody running from the po-po? Like, what's going on? I ain't know what was going on. So then I go outside because I have to go to the ATM so I can go get some cash to pay for some food, right? So I had to went to the ATM, and I was when I stepped outside of my backyard, I'm hearing police helicopters and all kind of stuff. I said, "Oh, is this like California where they got to have a chopper out to catch the person or whatever?" I didn't know what was going on. So then I finally get out and I drive around the corner. See, they got the street blocked off and everything. I'm like, "Oh, that's going to the highway." And so over the highway, it was blocked off. All the bridges over the highway was blocked off. I didn't know what the hell. I finally get home. And I go on Fox 6 Milwaukee's Facebook page. There it is. A high speed chase ended by my house on the highway where the person drove the car to the construction zone. Apparently, there's the six people in the car. The car reported is being part of a carjacking, and so the police originally tried to pull the car over, and the car pulled off. Led the police on the chase. They drove into the construction zone, and when they were blocked by a semi truck, they tried to reverse. The driver tried to reverse and then drove their car, the SUV, into a um, police cruiser. So they turned and reversed again. And at that point, that's when a 25-year-old officer, who works for 4 years, started open firing on the car.
Thought he was
There was,
four. I
huh?
thought he. I thought he was. I thought the chief said he was 24 and had been on the squad for 4 years.
He's 24 or 25, one of the two. I've been. Um, but yeah, he opened fired on the car, and a 18, I believe it was an 18-year-old male that was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries, and there was also a 18-year-old female who I believe was taken to 17-year-old male taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries, and there was an 18-year-old female who was pregnant who was taken to the hospital and she lost the baby due to after during this whole incident where she got shot and she lost her baby. So my mom was like, she was somewhere. I don't know. I think she was at a doctor's appointment or something. But she said that she was somewhere, and somebody had said to her, "Isn't that sad the girl lost her baby?" It's sad that she lost the baby. At the same time, I do not feel bad for her because once again, Why are you pregnant out here carjacking and doing armed robberies? And you pregnant?
Well, so
Sometimes things are bound to go wrong. This is one of those situations where things went wrong, and it's kind of your fault that your baby in danger.
So I watched the news conference that the police chief held. So it looks like West Allis Police Department is going to head the investigation because they put that in law many years back. If it was a police involved shooting, the investigation had to be headed by a different police force from a different county, right? So sounds like they had been downtown. So they were already in a stolen vehicle downtown doing.
Yeah, they did an armed robbery in two different locations, Jefferson and then somewhere else, or before they were pulled over.
Fifth and Broadway,
right?
So that's downtown here. So and then they said something about being on 14th and Atkinson. I don't know what that was about, but basically they went on a high-speed chase. Somehow got themselves wedged behind a cement truck. Stopped, backed up. When they backed up, they almost ran over it was a police officer behind the car when they were backing up. They didn't say if the police officer was ran over or nothing. All he said that he believed that the police officer was physically okay. They pulled forward, backed up again, and then that's when the police officer, I don't think, they didn't say it was the same police officer that was behind the car. They just said the young guy discharged, hit the two people, 17-year-old boy, 18-year-old girl that was pregnant, in a car. And they also recovered a firearm that was in the car. They didn't go into specifics on if the gun was being pointed at them, but at this time, if you try to hit somebody with a car, that's considered a weapon. The car is considered a weapon. So in my head,
it's considered assault with a deadly weapon. Still.
So they can discharge a firearm, right, to stop the car. So, when they did the news conference, the 17-year-old had serious injuries, and the 18-year-old that was pregnant had life-threatening injuries. The other four that were in the car, I think it was only one other female that was 18, and the youngest was a 15-year-old male.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah, so that's crazy. And then as he was talking about this, he kind of went on a tangent, like, parents, what you need to know where your kids at. Like, he went on a long ass rant, and it was needed. And he was like, basically, we're out here 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, trying to police the community. But it's not only us that can police the community, meaning parents got to take accountability for what their kids are doing. Because why? And this was like in the middle of the day, like early afternoon.
This was during rush hour, like 3:00 in the afternoon.
Middle of the day. Then to me, they so broad enough to be downtown with a stolen car, carjacking people downtown in a stolen car. And I mean, I get it because I get it and I don't get it. As far as location, you're close to a lot of highway entrances downtown, right? So I get that portion of it, but you still stupid because it's rush hour and you getting on the highway and it's construction.
Yeah, it's a lot of construction.
Why is it 6 of y'all piled into the car? Now, I done did the whole lap method. You in the car with your friends, somebody sitting on somebody else's lap because that's what you did. But you in a stolen vehicle.
I felt like once they realized they was cornered, they all should gotta run. They can't catch all of us.
But then it's very, very sad that an unborn child lost his life. But at the same time, you 18 in a car with a pistol, with a bunch of it's only one other technically legal adult that's in the car besides you. The rest of them are minors. And y'all doing carjackings, and you're pregnant.
And it could have went way different because you could have whooped those minors like her brothers and sisters. And now what if your brother or sister would have got killed because you decided to bring your minor brother or sister along with you on this crime spree? So not only did your mama lose her grandchild, but she could have lost another kid, including the kid you.
So now we got an officer that's I don't know the status on the two that were in the hospital. So all of them did get taken to the hospital, right? They always gonna take them to the hospital in an event like that to make sure they don't have injuries, right? So the two that were wounded, I don't know what their status is as of today because this happened on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. And you know, I really hope the community rallies behind their like this as a parent that got kids this age. This was like this is exactly I use this as an example. This is exactly why I be on y'all to watch who you around. Don't get into no stupid stuff like that because not now look at what happened. That's sad. It's sad. And now you got an officer that's young. He not much older than the ones that were in the vehicle, right? And now he you know what I'm saying? He shot somebody and that person being injured caused her to lose a child. So that's something
That's
that
a lot on that officer's conscience.
Exactly. And he just getting started as a police officer, you know. So, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, when you're trying to run somebody over, I don't know what you expect for somebody to do. I'm gonna shoot you if you try to run me over.
Yeah, I'm defending myself. Like I'm gonna do what I can to get your vehicle stopped. Who's to
You
say
know,
that you wasn't gonna try to drive forward and then roll back and try to hit me again? So of course I'm gonna shoot your vehicle.
that's crazy. So yeah, that was. And then y'all, he acting like we don't be seeing helicopters in the sky around here. This is a major metropolitan area.
No, the only news station who has a helicopter still is Channel 12. But I was hearing multiple helicopters, so like Fox 6 and
police copters.
they use drones. So they stopped using a helicopter a long time ago. They use drones. So it wasn't normal for me to be hearing helicopters like that. And then like I said, if we were to helicopter, it's like a private use helicopter, like somebody who's just rich enough to get traveled around in a helicopter, or it's a flight for life helicopter. Other than that, I really don't too much hear helicopter or in the city like that. So I'm just so surprised, like why am I hearing helicopters? Um, and speaking of more teens doing some crazy, there was two males, two females in the car. I guess of the guys was dating a female, but this happened on the south side of town. Basically, the 22-year-old driver who had minor people in the car with them was driving at excessive speeds, and he lost control of his vehicle, hit some parked cars, and 3 of the 4 people in that vehicle died. And when that person who it was a female who survived, and she's in the hospital, I believe she's not even woke yet. So I don't think she knows what happened yet. So imagine waking up and finding out your 3 friends or your 2 friends and your boyfriend is dead. Like that is gonna be some crazy mess to wake up to. And there's a lot of speeding that's still going on in town. So I had told people that's the way how like within the last month or so, and I've been watching like really paying attention how people been driving. I started driving like Dr. Pastor Deacon Reverend Minister Harris. Um
like an old
so
man Sunday morning.
so now I'm only going about 5 to 6 over the speed limit. If that's you go down. I ain't got time to be wrapped up in whatever mess y'all got going on. I ain't got time for it. So then we have that incident happen. We're still waiting on an investigation for that because that was still recently. So I will try to keep you guys posted on that story. And then we had another story where I believe it was 2 teens that were killed at a 16-year-old birthday party, which I believe it was adults who got into a fight, and 2 teens getting killed at a 16-year-old birthday party recently. And another female was hit by a bullet, and she's recovering and and she's fine to recover. And then we had another incident where a child was killed because the upstairs neighbors decided to it was place and they fired a gun and it went through the floor and killed the baby while he was in bed asleep. So we had that incident that happened. What else is there? Oh, then we had the one that happened yesterday morning. off of 27th and Center, where there was a speeding black kid that went down the street, and another incident where the car
Hit a pole. Uh-oh. Oh, you're
oh well
frozen.
wait. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm frozen now. You said what you were saying?
I said when they hit a pole, did they hit a pole or something like that?
Yeah. So and then on top of that, so one of my co in my department knew the female who was killed in the incident, and then it turns out the mother of the male that was killed in the incident also works at where I work at in a different department. And the car that the male was driving was his mother's car that he was driving to. So it's just been a lot. It's sad. It's just been a sad of what's been going on with all these reckless driving, and I feel like over the last week it's been all these kids getting killed. After the Juneteenth celebration they had here on Wednesday, they decided to have a like a concert, like a free concert over in the park in Washington Park. And during that incident, um, on the opposite side of the park, far from where the concert was taking place, somebody else was killed over there. And then at one point, they were trying to group the two incidents together. It was two separate incidents. The organizers of the concert stated that things were starting to get a little bit out of control around us. They ended up shutting down the concert earlier than what it was supposed to be because things started to get a little out of control. But that the shooting that happened on the other opposite side of the park had nothing to do with the concert. So, and that was a teen also who was killed at the park.
So we gonna put that into perspective because when people think park, they think oh some slides and a swing set. No, Washington Park is our biggest county park, right? I believe
One of the biggest,
it,
yeah.
it, it used to be the zoo back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where our county zoo used to be back in the day. So it's pretty big. So for him to say, um, it was an impromptu concert. It was a lot of people there.
About 4,000 people in total.
It was a lot of people there because I saw the videos, the crowd. You know, it was supposed to be something positive. Um, Local rappers were there. You know, local musicians or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
that whatever took place was not directly linked to what they had going on, and it was way on the other side of the park, which could be miles. So,
Right.
but but yeah, it was. I mean, so our Juneteenth celebration sound like it went down
It
great.
went really well. I didn't hear about no incidents, no nothing happening. So it was a success this year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I kind of want to segue on that to what Juneteenth actually is. A lot of people feel like it's a made up holiday, etc., etc. I believe Joe Biden was the one that signed it into law to make it a federal holiday. A
Mm-hmm.
lot. So my job is closed on that day, and I get holiday pay. Um, your job, unfortunately, does not pay you holiday pay,
My job doesn't even recognize Juneteenth as a holiday.
even though it's a federal holiday, right? So a lot of people feel like Joe Biden did that to appease to um, for voters, but in reality, I mean, so Juneteenth is the day the rest of the slaves were notified that they were free down in Galveston, Texas. It was like a little bit over 200,000 slaves that were not aware that they were free.
Mm-hmm.
So June 19th is when they found out. So the proclamation was signed January 1st. So they found out 6 months after the proclamation was signed. So they had
Oh, the,
six
the
months.
Emancipation Proclamation, for the people who don't know, that's what it's.
And
There's some
that
people who don't know.
so that was in 1863, and then the 13th Amendment, which abolishes slavery, was ratified in 1865. So 2 years after that. So that is exactly what the Juneteenth celebration is for. It doesn't specify in the 13th Amendment a certain color of people, a certain race of people. It just says all slavery, right? So I don't want people to think it's just so we celebrate in a way because, you know, for us, it was a lot of our ancestors that were enslaved, right? They were brought over
Mm-hmm.
here enslaved, but in reality, all races have been enslaved, right? So you got your indigenous people that were here, etc., etc. You got a lot of races that have been enslaved in America. So it abolished slavery for all.
And the only people I feel like who avoided slavery back then were the Mexicans, because Mexicans owned territory in the United States back then, and
Yes, they did.
America purchased what the territory that Mexico owned through the Louisiana Purchase
Yeah.
uh during that time period during slavery. So Mexicans was
Right.
the only ones who were considered brown to avoid slavery.
And that was probably, I think that was the biggest purchase of land at one time, right? And it expanded the boundaries of
Eh,
what is
that's
America.
that's correct.
Yes. Okay. So, but yeah, so it was a peaceful celebration here. We have a parade. We have vendors. I dropped my son off in the area at 8:50 in the morning. The parade wasn't supposed to start till 9, and it was packed already down there at what would be the end of the parade, where all the food and stuff at. And it was nice to see people of all races. People of all races were down there.
Hmm.
So it was a
So
great
in
celebration.
our city, we have one of the longest running Juneteenth celebrations in our city. So this was the 52nd or 53rd annual Juneteenth celebration in the city of Milwaukee, and we have one of the longest running celebrations in the U.S. So that's why it's such a big thing here, in at least in our city, where you see thousands of people gather and come to this celebration, because we don't have what we used to call Afro Fest no more. So
Oh,
so
see, they doing Afrofest this year in Browndale Park.
also they moved. They're not doing it at Summerfest this year.
No, there it's going to be in Browndale Park.
So that way it'd be cheaper. That way they could still be able to have it. See, that works out perfect, because there's been some years where we haven't had Afrofest. So Juneteenth has only this has been the only celebration that Black people can really go to and gather, have fun, and experience the culture, and and celebrate. And
Yes,
that's why it's Juneteenth is such a big thing here in the city where we stay at.
absolutely, absolutely.
Just love it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there was one more story related to the shootings that I can't remember, but I can't even remember now because I've been drinking. So
Sorry, and I distracted you. I'm really good at that, y'all.
I can't. I gotta be honest. Like I can't remember. I was so trying to think about it. I'm like, oh well, that's gone down the drain, because I literally don't know.
Keep going.
But I do have some stuff to talk about. So if you guys are not familiar, the Republican National Convention is coming to our, and Trump has said that Milwaukee is a terrible city. Uh, he tried to go back and say it's because of crime. He was speaking of crime or whatever. And so the mayor of Milwaukee, which is I believe Cavalier Johnson, has some words for Donald Trump. So I'm going to play that for you guys right now.
Well, Donald Trump wants to talk about things that he thinks are horrible. All of us lived through his presidency, so right back at you, buddy. I'd say that. Look, obviously Donald Trump is wrong about something yet again. I find it kind of perplexing. I find it kind of strange that he would insult the largest city in Wisconsin because he's running for president. He obviously wants to win Wisconsin, win the election. And so to insult the state that's hosting your convention, I think is kind of bizarre. Actually, it's kind of unhinged in a way, especially considering the fact that in Milwaukee there are about 50,000 Republicans who live right here in the city. So you're calling their home horrible. I mean, I don't quite understand that.
And
Those are
here's the thing. And here's the thing. Most of the state of Wisconsin votes come from the city of Milwaukee County, the city of Milwaukee. And for you to insult the city where you basically need to win the city of Milwaukee in order to win the presidency, why would you insult the city?
I mean, because he's stupid, and so in his head, he feel like Milwaukee is democratic because a bunch of black people live here. But like he said, it's 50,000 Republican voters here in the city, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you play your cards right and it's actually, you know, actually want to be president for the right reasons, you can actually swing a lot of Democratic voters for you, even if they are black.
That
But
is
he
correct.
don't think that way. He try to appease to black people through ghetto ass activities. Like he was just in Detroit and it was a bunch of rappers that was
I got a video clip about him in Detroit at a black church coming up.
dude, it's so I hate that, and hate is a very strong word. Just for him going for rappers to back him to try to get black votes, or making that dumbass shoe like he did to try to appease so that he like, you remember that shoe?
I remember the shoe. Oh, that what was the Trump Force ones?
Yeah. And I now hope Nike didn't partnership him on the development of that shoe because it looked just like a Jordan 1 shoe or an Air
Mm-hmm.
Force One. It looks like both of them. So it's like that design should be patented. I mean, like, what are you doing? Like that shit was crazy. That he so I met Cavalier Johnson at an event I was doing for my job, and I did like biometric screening and stuff on him and things like that. He was a nice dude, and he was there in the area where we had the Juneteenth celebration or whatever, and you know he was making an appearance. He wasn't talking politics. He just genuinely came in there and asked us what we're doing, asked us about our different respective companies because it was a bunch of companies in there. It was a health fair. So he came in, popped out, but he made a very good point. Like now, and then the Republican convention is going to be here. So
I'm so mad about that. Because
I'm
anybody who
not,
knows me, I hate because I take a certain route home because I feel like the main routes that people take is the ones where I'm liable to be involved in an accident if I
right.
take those ways home. So I avoid taking those ways home. So I purposely drive through down home because one, it's not as much traffic as people think it is, and for me, it just seemed like a more safer route to go.
Well, it
So
sounds like
now I
you take the
have
streets
to
like we.
replan my whole route home because now, yeah, and I got to play on. Well, I mean, so in the afternoon, I take the streets home for work. I don't take the highway at all. I take the streets home. But it's like I have to replan my whole route to get home because it involves me driving past fires and foremen and all them things to get home. So and by that area being shut down due to the find a new route to get home, which means I gotta drive to the super hoods of the city to get home now.
Or you can go straight down Mayfair to Capitol and take Capitol all the way down.
I
That's
hate
what I
driving on
did.
Capitol Drive though. I just hate it so much. I tell people I live off of Capitol Drive and don't drive on Capitol. Like that's just tell you I
I
don't.
understand.
I cannot
Take
stand
very
it.
short routes on Capitol Drive. Yeah, very short.
Like I just can't. I would add an extra 5 minutes on onto my commute to avoid driving on Capitol Drive. That's just how bad it is. I
I
just
agree
can't do
with
it.
you. I agree.
But speaking of Trump and Detroit, I have a video clip that had came across my thing on Facebook, and I'm gonna play that for you. So here we
So
go.
Donald Trump just gave a speech to a church in Detroit about his vision for Black Americans. And tell me what you noticed about the audience.
So where were the actual
Okay, so I just
congregants?
want to say, I see, and that's what I'm saying. And I just The only black people who were there is because for one is their church or is their father's
They
church
were on
or
the pulpit.
they were
In the
right. They
pulpit.
were somehow
Yeah.
related to whoever church it is. They related to whoever church that was.
Probably
Reason
some
why those
deacons,
black people were there.
reverend, first lady, all of that probably was there. Like,
Right.
that's
Right. And
terrible,
they're saying they
man.
cutting it like Trump is at my cousin's church, so I'm be at my cousin's church because Trump there. You know, that's the only reason why those people was there. Other than that, you see that was a crowd of white people. So he went to a black church to talk about his vision for Black America to a crowd of white people.
In a black church.
In a black church. So make it make sense to me. That's all I'm gonna say. Make it make sense. It don't make sense.
I can't stand people that would sell their soul to the devil.
I can't stand it either.
That's what it looked like to me.
I don't even know what to say at this point.
That's what it looked like
to be
to
honest.
me. You actually let this man come in your church. None of your parishioners are in there. I can understand that some of the parishioners are going to be Caucasian, right? I get that. You know what I'm saying? But the whole entire crowd?
That's what I'm saying. Like, did he pay you to host this event there?
That's what I'm saying. And
that's what I'm thinking.
Sell your soul to the devil. That's what I mean. You selling your soul to the devil. Never in a million years could I ever be bought out by a man like him. Ever. I'm sorry.
Never, ever.
Never.
And then, so, this was so. I have another clip that came about. It's not about Trump. It's about the governor of Florida and his whole book ban thing. And
okay.
So I'm gonna play the clip and then we're gonna discuss it.
I don't like the way you humiliate the LGBTQ community.
Breaking gay news. The governor of Florida was just obliterated on live TV.
What's wrong with Toni Morrison's book? It's not banned. It's not true. What's wrong with Amanda Gorman's? 1,406. 1,406 books have been banned on your banning binge in the state of Florida. As it relates to parental rights, what you're doing is using education as a sword for your cultural purge. And you know what? With all due respect, I remember in the 1970s, we had a bill called the Briggs Initiative. And there was a guy by the name of Ronald Reagan, so offended by the Briggs Initiative, which was the original Don't Say Gay bill. In that case, it was not allowing teachers that happened to be gay to teach. And Reagan had the courage to stand up and he said, you can't catch gay like you can measles. I don't like the way you demean people. I don't like the way you demean the LGBTQ community. I don't like the way you demean and humiliate people you disagree with, Ron. I really find this fundamentally offensive. And this is a core value against the weaponization of education.
That was a read, honey. That was a nice read. He got
governor of California. I'm gonna need you to run for president. I'm sorry, Biden. You should have stepped. Yes, you should have stepped down. Biden, you should have stepped as trying to president for another term and let that man try to run for president. I swear to God, I want that man as president.
In the next 4 years, maybe he will. Maybe we just kind of climbing out of a recession in COVID, et cetera, and we kind of still in the dark ages is what I like to call it, Maybe he will. I feel like this and everything that happened with COVID and all of that, I feel like it's going to bring forth new leadership, hopefully, is what I'm looking for, right?
Yeah. I was gonna say no, because speaking of COVID, but I'll let you finish.
But I didn't know he banned Toni Morrison's books. I read those books. I love those books. What was so wrong with
anything
those books?
Anything that went against his agenda, he banned the books in like public schools and libraries, basically.
But I'm trying to figure out what was so wrong about those books.
Nothing, but to him, because anything has the mention or seem like it has anything related to sexuality, he banned the books in like public schools and libraries. So like if you're a teenager and you identify as somewhere on the spectrum and you want to go to the library and read a book that's based on LGBT, they can't go do that in the state of Florida because he had all those books taken out and banned.
But none of her books, as I can recall, that I read because I was.
But you gotta think about he had stuff banned too. So like he made like books about slavery. He banned books about, and not just the LGBTQ agenda. It was slavery. He had books on slavery.
Yeah, he didn't
He
want no
wanted
books
it.
about
He wanted them
slavery.
to teach that. He wanted them to teach slavery was for black people. Stuff like anything that goes against identity or how he thinks or whatever it is. He was just against it. Anything that he banned it all.
You know,
He
I
banned
can't.
all of it. It wasn't just LGBT stuff.
So I can't believe I'm actually seeing this in my lifetime because I mean, as far as slavery, right? They forbade them to learn how to read because they always say education is power, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now, you know, fast forward, I was always an avid reader. I read books, 2 or 3 books in a day. In a day. I'm talking about thick books, right? That's what I did. And I came across a book called Fahrenheit 451. Remember I told you about that book? They made a movie about it and it was
Mm-hmm.
about them banning books because they
Mm-hmm.
felt like books were making people deviant. And that's crazy to me because books ain't nothing but words that come out of our mouth written down. So if it doesn't matter if you ban the books, it can still live on through people telling the story. You get what I'm saying? So then
Mm-hmm.
it runs it back all into the Bible. The Bible was a book, right?
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard of the Enoch? You ever heard of the book of Enoch?
No.
Exactly, because it was banned out of the Bible.
I
Because
didn't know that.
yes. So I want you to look that up, but the book of Enoch was a book that was so controversial, it got banned by the Catholics out of the Bible because it went against what they were trying to portray.
Mm.
And it's like, how can you so you picked and you chose what books went into the Bible. Duh, we know that. We understand it was edited. We understand all of that. But then it's like that's the ultimate control is trying to trying to silence people that come forward and have these stories, which might be true, just so you can hide. And it's like, why? You want to harness and control people like that? You want, so I can't believe that I'm actually seeing that in my lifetime from slavery. And then the books I was reading about was supposed to be futuristic, like Fahrenheit 451 was set so far in the future, but it's actually happening right now.
Mm.
And I
That
feel
is,
like, and
it's
I
only the
feel
state of
like
Florida
Trump get
doing
into
that,
office. I feel like if Trump get into office, because he already edited his own version of the Bible, right?
the Trump
Remember?
Bible.
Yes. I feel like that is what's going to happen. It's going to be a nationwide ban on certain books. And that is how they're going to that's how they're going to cover up things. And that's crazy to me. That is insane to me. Freedom of speech,
But
that's written in the law.
the crazy part about it is they only can ban these books at the educational level, which is basically libraries and schools. That's the only place they can ban these books. So like outside of that, they can't ban them. They can't stop Amazon. They can't stop this company. They can't stop a bookstore. They can't stop these people from selling these kind of
Right,
books.
because freedom of speech, right?
Exactly.
But at the same time, those are free avenues of receiving this education. Like we're all
Exactly.
mandated to go through 12th grade, and now you're tweaking these very young minds to believe one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long con, is what I call it. That's a long con game
Like they say,
because
how racism isn't something that's it's something that's taught,
racism is something
and
that's taught 100%.
it's just something that's
100%.
taught.
100%. And I
It's not
feel
something
like,
that it's not really necessarily something like you're not
yeah,
born a racist. You're taught to be a racist, and
correct.
that's what Ron is trying to do with the next generation. He's trying to teach the next generation that living that kind of lifestyle is wrong. That slavery was bad for black people was wrong. It's wrong. It really was for the benefit of black people. He's trying to
Why?
rewrite
Because you taught us skills that we already had skills because we were in a whole different country living and thriving.
He's trying to rewrite history. He's trying to he is people out trying to remake the world into something like all of us are supposed to forget. And the thing about it is a lot of younger people, they're really not reading books anymore. Like they
don't.
They don't. So it's like
It's all
a lot of this stuff. Yeah. So like if it's not put into a video form for them, they're not gonna know these things. And you know, people like Ron DeSantis and Trump, they know. So that's where they're trying to like ban books.
TikTok.
Ban TikTok. That's why they're trying to ban TikTok, which TikTok just actually answered to the little law. They just filed a lawsuit against the state of the United States of America, by the way. I'm not mad at them either. So it's just so much that goes along with, you know, this whole book banning thing. That's what I said. Like, so for me, you know, between when I get up, when I'm at work and stuff, so I don't physically read books, but everybody be like at work when I be having it in my headphones stuff and at work, like I'm not listening to stuff like that. I'm listening to books. Like I have listened to over 100 and some books now within the last year. And so that's how I've gotten back into books. Like now I love listening to books now. That's just my thing. Somebody suggests a good book to me, I will go and listen to it.
And something else that I learned, me trying to go into my master's degree, they want you to buy all these books. And I noticed after like a couple of semesters, I was like, I don't even need these books, right? Everything that you tested me on is not even in the book. You know what I'm saying? So I'm spending hundreds of dollars for a book that's not even worth it to me. And I've been learning through experience, word of mouth, you know what I'm saying? Back to our ancestors. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I have been doing. And I feel like experience is a much better teacher than something that is in a book. So they can't, I always urge people, urge people, teach your kids, man. This is why I sit down and I have long conversations with my kids. They might get mad at me. They might feel like I'm annoying, this, that, and the other. But when they get older and they get into these situations that I talk about, and they will realize, oh, this is what mom was talking about. This is exactly what she was trying to open up my eyes to, because it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? You have these, you going through school because you have to. You know what I'm saying? This is what the United States of America says. You have to go through this many years of school before you become an adult so you can be a productive member of society. But, you know, a lot of people do choose to homeschool their kids. And I'm not against homeschooling as long as you're not being creepy, you know, for whatever reason. And I got a high story behind that. But I just feel like, you know, in my experience, I don't necessarily read books of fact. I love history. But I also know that everything in a history book is not true. It's being told from one person's perspective. You know what I'm saying? And I need the cold hard facts. I need to know, it's, you know, my dad always told me, is there's this person's side of the story, that person's side of the story, and then it's the truth. There's always three sides to a story. You know what I'm saying? So I want the cold hard facts, and I want to be able to take from the cold hard facts what I believe what the truth is, my perception of the truth, and not your perception of what happened. I want to hear both sides, and then I want to decide in the middle what probably went down and what was true. You know, so it's not a lot of people that can remain objective and write a textbook. It's very hard for a human being to remain objective and write a textbook because we're not machines. We're human beings. We run off of emotions and passions. So when people write these textbooks, yeah, they have to get fact checked, but where are the facts coming from? Like whoever's doing the fact checking, where are they getting their facts from? You know, so it's just a whole bunch of conspiracy etc., 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 and all of this and all of that. And I urge people to just try to figure out and find the truth and push that agenda is to bringing the truth out, because we live in a world of liars. Sorry, rant done. I'm sorry.
No, no. I was just sitting here thinking. It's a little off topic. It's weird. I'm only how old I am. I'm 32, I think. I'm 32 years old, I think. And for me to only be in my early 30s is weird hearing that stuff that me and you have lived through now. It's in a high school, like in a high school textbook and like a high school history book. And I'm like, oh my, it's weird. It's so weird now.
Yeah. I mean, I was taught about the not the Civil War. Oh my goodness. The
rights movement. We was talking about like the civil rights movement, Dr. King, movement, all that whole era. Like we was talking about that era. And so now for me to hear about, they said like 9/11 is in the textbooks and stuff like that. Yes. I'm like, what?
But you know what? My kids have lived through a pandemic. This is my first pandemic that actually affected our country, right? We've had many other different pandemics that really didn't affect what was going on.
I mean, our last pandemic was the Great Depression.
That actually
actually not the Great Depression. I meant the what was it? It was like a flu.
Swine flu, H1N1.
No, it wasn't that. It was some type. It was like the late 1920s. It was like some type of flu that was going around. That was like the last major pandemic that we actually had. Because that flu
pandemic was in the early 1900s. Influenza outbreak.
Yeah. So they had like a pandemic. It was like 19. I want to say it was like 1920.
The actual flu, which is why we're supposed to get flu shots every year.
Yeah, and it led to a whole nother story. But then, so it was the flu. It was the whole pandemic, and then right after the flu, we had the Great Depression, which was like the early 30s to like the 40s. And so it was like back then they got hit by a wham bam boom by like two things right after another.
Correct.
And I can honestly say with us, it was like, so like, I felt like when they went through like that whole flu pandemic back then, it lasted a lot longer than what we went through with COVID. And I'd say for us as a country to only have shut down for a month, and then we went through something for like 6 months, but I don't think it lasted that long before we was just operating at normal capacity again. So it was like, I feel like the whole thing was like less than like 7 to 8 months, I say.
And I want to remind everybody that the COVID pandemic happened under Trump.
Right. And so for 7 or 8 months, it's just crazy how that 7 or 8 months of what we went through is now taking effect. It's like we still feeling the effects of it. 4 years later? Actually 3 years later. It was like 2021 when we kind of. But anyway,
it was 2020.
I mean, like depending, yeah. COVID was at its peak in 2020. Shut down, like we started coming out in like 2021.
Yes.
So it's been like, but for us to still be feeling that effect 3 years later, it's crazy. And it's only because I feel like we feeling those effects is because the policies that Trump put in place while he was president. So like I said, like he even came on with a whole new tax plan that his own party was like, no, that sounds foolish and stupid. Why would you give all these big corporations, 20, 30, 40% tax cuts, but then you want to increase the amount of taxes that the middle class people pay? It doesn't make sense. So like now you got these people who are making billions of dollars a year basically not paying taxes at all. So now the country,
because you know why? Yes, it does make perfect sense. The middle class is what keep the upper class rich.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is the middle class people is what's keeping what this country
The
afloat.
middle class is what keep the America running. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's what I'm saying. That's what's gonna keep. Well, that was what was gonna keep this country afloat was the middle class, people. So now the middle class people were gonna feel that strain of having,
And
the bill
we all
for so pick up the bill for security, child care for people, what is it, health
we
care for
all
people, food stamps for people, all the government assistance programs, is all that funding for infrastructure, all that stuff. Like when they send money out to FEMA, and so or they declare a disaster area or something like that, all that money was going to come from the middle class people. So the middle class people is going to start to feel that strain. So when middle class people start to feel that strain, they're going to spend less money at the store, which means with the people spending less money at the store, companies gonna say that, oh, we gotta start doing cutbacks. We're gonna they start to raise prices up. Even if there's some companies trying to make things cheaper, we're still not gonna go to the store and spend, which means that's why we're gonna keep having these issues. Just like they were saying, like you cannot buy a house right now under $200,000 in the United States of America. It's very rare to find a house under $200,000 in America. So
it
right
has
now,
probably a condemned house you buy with cash.
exactly. So
Yeah.
like right now, they said we're on the verge of another housing crisis that we had back in 2008 because the price of houses is so expensive now. So now on top of the pandemic, we're about to head into another housing crisis, which means the banks are going to start losing money. The banks are going to start failing again. And we have to do a whole other bank bailout. So we have to go through that whole process all over again, and
Right.
it's a mess.
And
And
I mean, what my mortgage went up by $400 for.
and
I'm
it,
still trying to figure out, and they keep on saying taxes on my land, and I'm like $400 a month extra though. Taxes on my land? Come on now,
and
you're not
I'm
making sense. You're hiding something. In
and I
my view,
feel
that's
like
what
with
you're
the
hiding.
with the renovations we haven't done to the house here, I can only imagine how that tax bill about to look next year, and with the
Yeah,
property of the
it's gonna be crazy because
yeah.
but I get that, right? Because you're making
Mm-hmm.
improvements to your property. I haven't made improvements to my property since 2021. It's 2024. Why are you telling me that my property taxes are going up to the point where I have to pay an extra $400 a month for the next 6 months?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
what are you telling me that so my property taxes increased by $2,000 in 2023, and now I'm on the phone with you and you telling me that my property taxes are increasing another $2,000 this year? That's crazy. I'm middle class. You're squeezing me, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
now I get to thinking like, what did I go to school for, right? So what did I go to school for? Everybody feel like college is a scam. You know what I'm saying? Et cetera, et cetera. So now I'm just like, I try to pull myself out of poverty. I don't get any kind of government help, this, that, and the other, so on and so forth. Everything is coming out of my pocket now. You know what I'm saying? I used to get help
Mm-hmm.
with child care. Now they want to give me $1.11 for child care. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, if I don't go to work, I can't keep my family afloat. So it's like, I'm trying to play by the rules, but America is making it very hard for me to play by the rules because I have to pick up the slack. You get what I'm
They
saying?
wonder why people are this close to thugs. They wonder why people are that close.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm picking up the slack and it's straining me. Like you said, it's straining me beyond. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, why do I have to sit down every month and come up with a new budget? I should not. I should be able to budget
Oh,
maybe twice a year.
speaking of, I forgot what state it was in, but it was a news story. There's a state that has now banned people from having roommates. The cost of rent is already so freaking high that you have to have a roommate in order to say that you got to not live with your parents. You got to have a roommate basically. And
Well,
now
everybody
in this,
go back in with their parents in. It's gonna
and
go back
then
to what it was.
so in the state, it was saying that only people who are allowed to stay in the house, you can't basically You cannot live in a house with somebody that you're not related to.
Renting.
You can't rent a house with no one that you can't rent a house with somebody that you're not related to. Basically,
somebody tell me who's gonna live in my house and I own it.
Exactly. So now that they have banned these people from basically having roommates, so now you have some of these people who are living in somewhere where it costs them $4,000. The rent in the place is $4,000 a month, and then you have 4 or 5 people living in a house splitting that $4,000.
That's a lot. That's too much. That is enough to drive somebody to do some things they should not be doing.
And then they wonder why they say, well, young people are not buying houses. I said, how can they save
for them
a down payment to buy a house when they have to spend two at least for a studio apartment in a decent neighborhood, $2,500 a month for a studio apartment that doesn't include electricity, that doesn't include, everything else that goes on with the house, Wi-Fi, cable, you got car insurance. And if you right here, I always say food, it's not affordable. Like living is not affordable in America no more. And I see people from other countries who have to America and visit, and they are like, I don't know how Americans are living. They don't know.
I pray, and I have multiple plans in action to try to bring in more income. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like the amount of money I make, I should be comfortable. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm not understanding. I got lucky when I bought my house. I bought my house right when, the prices of houses went down, but it was such a high demand because it was a frenzy because the cost of houses went down. So everybody was like, oh, we're going to buy a house now. I got lucky and found a house that was within my budget. I got a great rate locked in. So legally, they can't increase my interest rate. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like I got lucky, but they still found out another way to increase my mortgage. And I get to thinking about, what if I had bought a house that cost more than the house that I got? I would be in some serious trouble. You know what I'm saying? I would be in some serious trouble. And I'm already thinking like, okay, I see the trend here. This is the second year in a row. Now, I got 3 sons that's trying to make something out of their lives. I'm not finna, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to do whatever I got to do to make sure that my kids are successful. So I'm not finna do this with America. I'm not. And it's crazy because why are you deciding to cut my child care from me? And I'm a productive member of society. I'm a nurse. So, you know what I'm saying? So, like, what are we doing? I know you're feeling the strain. You know what I'm saying? As a person that don't have
when it comes
children,
to child, when it comes to child care too, though, there are people who is receiving child care and sending their kids to daycare on a daily basis during the week and don't even have a job. So it's like, why are we paying for them to have child care?
That's what I'm saying, because they be lying. They be forging documents, etc., etc. And I choose to live, you know what I'm saying, honestly. I choose to live honestly. And I'm just like, it's so crazy. I was given a benefit, and then all of a sudden I get a phone call that said, oh, somebody's messed up on your case, and now you only get $1 a month. $1.11 a month for childcare. So now I gotta sit down and redo my whole income, in because I have to go to work. I have to go to work because I'm the head of the household.
And it's crazy because I see with households who know they have kids or whatever, and now I see why they choose to leave their kid with a family member now, because child care is so freaking expensive. expensive, and you see them like just get a family member, here goes a couple dollars, thank you so much for taking care of my kid while I go to work.
Exactly.
I at first I did not understand it, and now I understand why people do that. Like, I used to be like one of those people, like, your kid to daycare if they can have gain more social skills, da 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 da. But at the same time, I'm like, I see why people don't send their kid to
My
daycare. Why
oldest
they
didn't
leave
go
their
to
kids sick,
daycare until 2. My oldest didn't go to daycare until 2. He didn't start speaking until 2 because he wasn't around other kids, right? That was my very first son. Second one, I was straight. Third one, I was straight up until this month. And now it's like, okay. And the only reason why I feel like I got a break is because his daycare provider is his auntie. So I'm still paying out of pocket, but I know if I put him somewhere else, I would be paying probably about $300 or $400 more than what I'm already paying. And I'm paying $500 out of pocket each month now. And when you save $500, people be like, "Damn, you can afford." You know what I'm saying? But that's what I'm saying.
You don't have a choice, and you find a ways to make it happen.
I don't have a choice. So I had to cut out a lot of stuff that I wanted to do. Me thinking me going to college was going to increase my income, which it did. And like I said, I make good money, but at the same time, I have 3 kids. Yes, I have a child that's grown, but he's living at home because the cost of living is so high, and he's doing good things for himself. He's in college, going pre-med. So why would I not support him? You get what I'm saying? So, and then I got another one that's 16, finna be about to be grown, right? So it's like my kids are aging out of being able for me to claim on my taxes, claim to try to get public assistance, at least for like healthcare and all that. And I do have healthcare through my job, but then it's like co-pays, etc., etc. Like that's all an extra.
Oh my God,
cost.
that is just so much. Like they charge, I out of pocket for lab draws. So if I was to go get like a certain lab, so they say like, oh, we need to draw blood for this, and that. Like I can literally easily come out of like $200 to $300 out of pocket,
yes,
just for lab draws. And a lot of people be like, don't, and like people who get government insurance be like, well, how come you be holding on for so long? Because y'all don't understand, y'all can go to the doctor and get lab draws, get checkups, get all this, and not have to pay a dime. But imagine
Biden just signed that they cannot put medical bills
on your because I'm like imagine imagine having to pay for that. Like I'm paying out of pocket for health insurance. Even though it's only me alone on my health insurance, I still pay like 130, almost between $130 to $200 a month just for health insurance for myself. And that don't include if I was to go see a specialist, it's $60 every time I need to go see a specialist. It's $30 every time I need to go see a doctor. Then I have to pay for blood draws out of pocket. I have to pay for medications out of pocket. I got to pay for, my inhaler. I said, thank God that Biden or whoever signed that law where they lowered the cost of inhalers. So at first I was paying $20 to $30 every time I needed a refill on an inhaler. Now I only pay $3 now.
Yeah.
So it's like certain things they lower the cost on, but like everything.
Per month.
I work for a hospital. I work for a hospital and still have to come out of thousands of dollars just for basic healthcare needs.
I know, and I hear everything you saying, and I'm like, so for me and my family, I pay $600 out of pocket for healthcare a month, and that does not even include the co-pays. My kids are healthy, so they only go to the doctor once a year. Once a year, they're going to the doctor, so I'm paying $600 a month, and then but there's me because I'm aging. Right. So now I got to go see specialists and this, that, and the other. And I got medication, so on and so forth. So now I got to pay out of pocket for going to see specialists, getting my medication, like all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that's $600 a month out of my check plus the $500 for daycare. That's $1,100 right there. That's more than what somebody get in a paycheck every 2 weeks for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Like, I tried to elevate myself, and now it's like I said I wasn't going to go back to school, but I don't have a choice. I got to finish my master's degree just to survive. Just to survive. That is my man.
And I tell people,
motivating force.
like even in my position and income, like before, before everything come on my check, like my gross pay is like over 2,000 a pay period.
And that's what I'm saying.
By the time they get through taking everything out I check at the end of a 2 week period, I'm literally left with like $1,200-$1,300 out of 2,000 and some dollars.
I probably gross about $3,600 every 2 weeks. I bring home about $2,300 every 2 weeks, right? That's and then I gotta pay $500 a month right now for childcare. Then I got to think about all of my healthcare costs because everything I get, all of my medications are per month, right? Then my mortgage went up by $400, so that's $2,000 a month. I spend about $700 on groceries, gas, extracurricular activities for my kids, clothing for my kids. Like then it's like, okay, then what are you left with? Then that doesn't even factor in internet, cable, phones, because you gotta have a phone. I gotta have internet because my kids are in school and everything is online now, and then just gas is high, and I'm going back and forth to things for my kids to kind of try to keep them out of trouble so they in extracurricular activities. And it's just like, what's left? I'm back to where I was before I had a degree. And that's sad, and it shouldn't be like that. So then that's when people get to be saying like school or college is a scheme, because now I went to college and I have debt for being in college, right? For a 4-year degree. And now I'm back in college, and when you go back for your master's degree, you either have to pay out of pocket or you get loans. There is no grants. Or you can do scholarships.
No financial aid, none of that.
You know what I'm saying? But then with my first son being in school, I'm responsible for the cost of his education because he's a dependent student. And then I got one that's coming out of school in 2 years. I'm going to be on the hook for his education because he's going to be a dependent student because they cannot get out here on their own and be independent. And if they could, they wouldn't be able to afford to go to school.
You wouldn't be able to even. When would you even have time to focus on school because you have to spend so much of your time working
full time?
You have to work a full-time job in order to survive in this economy. There is no, back in the day you were able to work, just part-time hours and still be able to take care of your family or whatever and go to school. But now it's not going to happen.
And that's the only way I was able to get my undergrad degree with 2 kids, trying to finish my nursing degree. I was only able to work 2 days out of the week, so I fell into poverty. And that's the only way I was able to get through school. I had to be in poverty. It's crazy, right? That's crazy how that works. So it's like middle class is screwed. It's like, you want to be able to get out of the reins of being in poverty and being from underneath government programs and this, that, and the other. But then when you do, it's nothing better. Your quality of life does not improve. It doesn't at all.
I agree.
And I mean, it does, but it doesn't. I was one of the lucky ones to get a house. A house that I own, and not that I'm renting because I have rent assistance. But I own my house, and I have some type of asset to add to my credit score, so on and so forth, And it's just, but at the same time, if I fall back into poverty because I have all these obligations, they can take my house away from me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, you playing the long game. So then that's why so many people decide they want to do. That's why a lot of these kids, and I can say, a lot of, like, you going back to how you saying that a lot of these kids are not interested in going to college. They're not interested in a lot of different things because they realize it's a long con, right? You plan to all of these things, think you're going to do better for your life. And I'm not saying this to,
Discourage people from going to school.
No, I'm not. So I genuinely, yes, I knew I needed extra income in my life, but I sat down and I decided, what am I going to do to bring extra income into my life that was going to be beneficial to me and others? So I decided to be a nurse because I love to help others. I love my job as a nurse. I love to help others as a nurse. But at the same time, these young kids, they don't see a reason to even go to school at all.
I agree.
What am I going to school for? For you to tell me a bunch of lies in a book that you decided that I could read because you thought this was too much, that was too much, and I don't even think they do sex education in school no more.
Sex education in school.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how can you not do sex education in school? And this is why I'm seeing so many patients coming in at 17, 18 years old with syphilis.
Mm-hmm. The world is a mess. What time? Okay, where we at? So I got, let's see, 1, 2. So I got 4 video clips for us to try to get through and discuss before the show is over.
Okay.
So let's go with the protesters over in, I believe, France for the Olympics. So here we go.
I thought that the French protests were unhinged before, but this might be the single most hilarious way of protesting I've ever seen. As we all know, Paris is hosting the Summer Olympics, but a lot of French people aren't very happy about that. Because, and I only found out about this today, the Olympics is kind of a scam when it comes to a country actually making money. Don't get me wrong, it's great for global street cred, but for example, when China hosted it, they made a net loss of 36.4 billion, and London made a net loss of 13 billion, and that's all taxpayer money. So when the public heard that France has already spent over 5 billion, and then that Macron wanted to spend another billion just to clean up the Seine River so it looks good for the Olympics, they lost it, and the I shit in the Seine River protest began. On the 23rd of June, the French President Macron and the Paris mayor plan to take a ceremonial swim in the river to show off just how clean it is. So the protesters are now planning a defecation flash mob because, and I quote, after putting us in shit, it's up to them to bathe in our shit. Oh, and if you don't live in Paris, no bloody problem, because someone created this website. You type in how many kilometers you are away from Paris, and using a water flow algorithm, it will tell you precisely the day and the exact time you need to shit into the river to reach Paris at the time Macron will be swimming in it. Oh, I told you, and that is why I say...
I love the internet. I love the internet. What vice president was that made the internet? Who was that? Al Gore. Thank you, Al Gore. Al Gore's internet. Yep.
Oh God! I swear. Wish
Do you
I
remember
knew.
Al Gore?
I remember Al Gore.
Okay.
I wish I could go take it. I wish I knew I could participate in and go take a shit just for that. They can go swim in my shit. Like, I want to participate so bad. Because why, at this point, why are we spending so much money to host the Olympics? And now I wonder why the U.S. is kind of, backed off from hosting the Olympics. I don't think the Olympics has been hosted in the U.S. in like a decade or so. And I see why the fact that you will think that the Olympics is gonna bring so much money to the economy. Like, no. So I believe it's like Brazil or somebody, like, they built a whole entire like gym swimming pool like for like the swim parks of the Olympics. that was built from the ground up just for the Olympics. And after the Olympics left, they were just stuck with a building. Like some of these places build buildings just for the Olympics, and then once the Olympics is gone and done and over with, they just stuck with a building that was eventually becomes abandoned and sits abandoned until it's either tore down or somebody decides to come in and do something else.
So my question is, why don't they hold the Olympics in different parts of the country that can actually host the Olympics? So if they know the swimming part of the Olympics can be hosted somewhere because they have an Olympic-sized pool, send them there. Gymnastics, send them somewhere else. You know, what is it?
So I think they want the Olympics. They want the whole thing to be held in the same city or country wherever it's being held in.
They need to rethink this. They need
so,
to break it.
So basically, like these cities they bid on the Olympics. So like they literally pay the Olympics to come today to hold the Olympics, and then ended up being in debt because of they have their. It's very stupid. Like I don't get why that's
France don't need to bid on anything. It's Paris, France.
Right.
You know
so like for here in Milwaukee, our mayor put in a bid to host the WWE pay-per-view event Rumble. So WrestleMania alone can bring in up to $200 million to a state's economy. So like putting in a bid to host an event in your city like the Royal Rumble, right? The All-Star Game, the Royal Rumble, stuff like that. Putting in bids for that kind of stuff will actually bring money to the economy.
But we have
we got the stadium
for that.
Yeah, we have the stadium, we have the hotel, we have everything we need to accommodate, holding those kind of events here. Even if Milwaukee decides to put in a bid to host the Olympics in Milwaukee, we have the stadiums, we have the gyms, we have everything we need to host it.
Yeah, you can host all of that.
Yeah, we have everything here to host all that. So for a city to, for like a city that doesn't have everything it needs to host the Olympics and say, oh, we're going to spend $50 million building stadiums and arenas and places where these things could be watched and viewed at, for the events to be held at, no, waste of money. It's not worth it.
It's not, and it's not. And
especially with the cost of material and stuff now.
And I really feel like the Olympics should think about, for cost-effective things, breaking up the different sections of the Olympics. Have your swimming there, have your gymnastics there, have your track there, have your, you know what I'm saying? Like, go somewhere that can actually host the Olympics because they have those things already. You know what I'm saying?
Like the summer, they're gonna be hosting on the World Olympics. Like you're gonna have like a basketball team from every country, playing in the Olympics or whatever. So you can't just use one arena for that because you will have to. It's not enough. It's not.
It's several games going on at one time.
Right, at one time. So now some of these countries are building, multiple arenas, or I'm build 2 or 3 arenas just to hold a basketball game there for the Olympics. Like no.
It would be cheaper for the airfare for these people to fly back and forth to wherever they going versus making countries build shit from the ground up. That's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
That's stupid to me. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what they should look into. And I mean, we coming into a whole new horizon in American history, right? Or global history. This is something I want to see that's going to continue as far as the Olympics, but think about breaking up, because how often does the Summer Olympics happen?
Every 4 years.
Every 4 years.
But basically, actually, the Olympics is every 2 years. So every 4 years,
Olympics, you got your Summer
Olympics, you got the summer. It's really every 2 years, but technically it's every 4 years between each one. Each summer, and you know what I mean.
Right. I know what you're saying, but that's so. In my head, that's what makes the most sense, right? So I can't. I'm just a nobody from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Like, why has nobody else thought about this, or do they even care? That's my thing. Nobody cares.
They don't care.
Okay, but you can't keep putting the burden on taxpayers, and kudos to France standing up to that. And I mean, France is a place that gets a lot of tourism,
Attention.
right? A lot of tourism. So for them to say they're going to be in a deficit, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is
That's
crazy.
That's crazy to me, right? So the Olympics need to rethink something. I mean, I feel like if you're going to be competing in the Olympics, you should pay a fee.
I don't know if they pay a fee. I don't know if they pay to compete in the Olympics. I don't know.
They should pay a fee to compete in the Olympics. What are you talking about? I pay a fee for my son to compete in basketball.
I mean, true. We already got Giannis Olympics and stuff. So yeah, millionaires that's playing. Some of them are millionaires.
They make money.
They make money. So, and even if they don't win the Olympics, they still get like endorsement deals, making millions. So yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So you got avenues to make money, but then you want to make it seem like that's you. So what is it that why do we even care about the Olympics?
I haven't watched the Olympics in years, so
why do we care about it? That's what I'm saying.
Just for bragging. So like, it's all for bragging rights. My country's better than your country.
You putting countries billions of dollars into debt, not millions, billions. A few billions dollars in debt.
Because we saw 34 billion for one country.
That's too much. That's beyond me.
I had to peel the label off. No free advertisement at my expense. Let me head into the next little. We getting short on time. Let me head into the next story. Which one am I going to go with? Let's go with this one.
All right, so this video was sent to me. I'm just going to play it for you the way that it was presented to me. Like, I watched it, and I was just kind of like, did I hear what I think I heard? Let me play that, and then I'll get into the rest of it.
If anybody knows of a white G35 sedan in the Mesa, Phoenix, Gilbert, Chandler area or in the surrounding areas, let me know. Someone just came to my house tonight. They blew it up, and I need to find the car. The person that did it's wearing a red hoodie, and they are on camera. So if you guys can help, that would be great. But yeah, this is what's going on.
So I saw that, and I was like, did he say they blew up my house? I mean, that's what it sounds like, and that's what it looks like. So I messaged him and asked, and he's like, yeah, someone threw an explosive device and blew up the front of my house. And we got him on camera. So let me show you a little bit of that. And actually, it's two someones, because there's the white G35, and there's the person in actually a red T-shirt walking up to throw it. And then this happens right here. I missed it the first time, but he pointed out that the guy stops to take a picture of the front of his house. And then he throws this device onto his front porch for it to detonate. They literally threw a bomb at his house. Very first frame, you can see the sparks and the gases expanding. And here, that's the roof collapsing. That roof is high. There was so much velocity and force that it actually blew off the roof above his like porch foyer area. And he was walking to the door at the time because his Ring camera notified that someone was at his front door. And he got blasted with broken glass, hence the blood that's on his head. He got small cuts. And I mean, look at all this damage. And there it is. It literally took the roof down. Now, he contacted police, and the news came out and did a story. And this is where things get even weirder, because after that news story came out, he was contacted by a woman. His bombing happened on a Thursday. On a Sunday prior, she had one go off in front of her house. And then when that came out, someone contacted her and said they had had a similar device thrown at their house. The first two weren't nearly as powerful as this one, but still, it was an explosion that caused damage. Someone is going around putting bombs. Actually, two someones. Again, someone was driving that car and being like the wheelman while that guy came up, took a picture, and then threw a bomb at his house. The only similarity that they can find between all of them is that they're all on corner lots. They're all right on the corner. Aside from that, they have no connections in any way. This is serious. This is like arsonist behavior, and usually that stuff just continues to escalate, and the fact that there's two of them, and they're like egging each other on, essentially, and reinforcing each other's desire to do this is what makes it especially scary. G35, if anyone knows one of those in the Mesa, Gilbert, like Phoenix area. And this, unfortunately, is the best look we got at the person who actually threw the device. Not actually in a red hoodie, but more in a red t-shirt and a red hat. So if anyone in the Gilbert, Mesa, Phoenix area knows someone with a G35 who maybe looks like that, and maybe, I'm guessing, might have even been bragging about doing this or taking video and posting stuff about this, I would love if you let me know who they are.
Isn't that the guy that reported on the whole incident at the police running to the bar?
Yeah, that's him. That's him.
Does he feel like it's connected? Because I kind of like the last person that. So he said nothing connected the people to it, but were they part of the LGBTQ community?
So no, this was in Phoenix, Arizona. So the only connection that's in these people is that all their houses just happen to sit on the corner lot. So they're only targeting houses that sit on easy to get away. So that's the only thing that connects the two.
But why
the
throw
people
a bomb though? If you're gonna
because people is crazy.
So people are crazy, but it's a method behind their craziness. That's why
I mean, yeah.
Because he was the same person that reported on.
Well, no, that's what his whole entire channel just reporting on different stories, and he contacted people to get details and stuff.
The last person that had that happen, I feel like he was part of the LGBTQ community. I don't know about the prior.
Oh, the guy you're talking about.
Yes, you get what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, okay. But then, the target before that was a woman. But we don't really know if she was part of the community.
Exactly.
We don't know.
Exactly. Or she may have been a part of promoting, or I don't want to say promoting, or just being okay with the LGBTQ community. You know what I'm saying? So for you to throw a bomb, it's one thing to steal a car, but for you to throw a bomb in somebody's house, for what? For what? You're taking the car. Take the car.
They didn't even take the person's car. They just really pulled up in their car. He walked up to the people's house, put the bomb, and they basically put the bomb on the porch and walked. Because whoever it is, they're doing it in their own personal car. They didn't take the people, they didn't take the car of the person whose house they was at. They were in their own car, just going around Target corner lot and then putting bombs on our porches.
I don't know.
They didn't try to break it. Like they didn't try to break into the houses. They didn't try to steal none of the property. They just literally put a bomb on porches and then just letting it explode.
Sound like a hate crime to me.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask this page to try to figure out if I got any more information about the if he had an update to the story or not. Okay, so I got 2 more clips before we go. We already about to be a little, so I'm gonna play the clip for y'all, and then I don't even know. I don't think we need to. We're just gonna play the clip.
Teenager leaves parents on Caribbean island to get back to cruise on time. My opinion. Okay, so I've never taken a cruise before, but I have taken a Greyhound bus, and I know when they make those stops and they tell you be back by this certain time. If you ain't back by that time, you getting left. No need to complain to customer service. Like, hey, we got left. Well, were you back on time? No, we were a couple minutes late. Oh, well, there you go. Have a good day. That's them pulling that shade down at the counter. Anyway, so this family decided to treat their teenager to a week-long cruise because the teenager graduated from high school. So they stop at the Caribbean. They are told, be back by this certain time. They go into town, they're shopping, haggling with the locals, getting those prices down, like, deep discounts over here. The teenager's like, hey, we should probably get back to the ship. The mom's like, yeah. So the teenager's like, all right, well, I'll see y'all back at the ship. So the teenager gets back to the ship on time. The parents, they show up. They got their bags like, ooh, we sure took advantage of those suckers. Hey, where's the ship? Because they weren't like 2 minutes late or 10 or 20 minutes late. They were 45 minutes late. What? The entitlement is insane. So now they got to buy 2 very expensive plane tickets to the next port. Now I think, what if the pilot and the shop owners were in cahoots or business together? So whenever people take advantage of the shop owners, they just call the pilot, let them know how much they got in savings, and they factor that into the price of the plane ticket, plus 20 or 30%, an entitlement tax.
So, as a person who goes on a cruise every year, it is very, very, very important to make sure you make it back to the cruise ship on time.
Oh, I'm back.
Then I like when we
come back. I'm always back.
I make it a habit. It's like the closest I will cut it is like 30 minutes before the ship leaves.
Yeah.
So for the last 2 times I've gone on no. The first time I went on a cruise ship, because last time most of the time I wasn't on the side where the people board the ship. But on that first time I went on a cruise, and every time we got off the ship, I wouldn't go on a boat and party nowhere. I would go straight to my room, get on that balcony, and wait and see if I'm going to see somebody on that little thing running to the cruise ship, because that'd be the highlight of the day. Sometimes watching those people run for the ship. So before you get off the ship, they would tell you, make sure you be back at such and such time. Ship time. Like ship time. So there will be somebody who will try to be, and they will book a excursion through a third party. And if that third party person don't have you back at the cruise ship at on time, the ship will leave you. This is why I tell people who ask me all the time, like people know who I go on cruises all the time now. So they ask me, if you ask me for advice, tell them, make sure that you book your excursions through the cruise line, because if for whatever reason you are not back on time because you booked the cruise line, the ship will wait for you. Whether you're 5 minutes late, 2 hours late, whatever, the ship will wait for you because you booked that excursion through the cruise line.
Yeah.
Now y'all can talk about how people talking about they want a refund or whatever. They tell y'all, they say the ship's leaving at 4 o'clock. The ship is leaving at 4 o'clock. It is leaving port at 4 o'clock. It's not going to wait 2 minutes for you. It's not going to wait 3 minutes. It is leaving. So make sure that you are back on your ships on time.
This is my thing. They give you about 9 to 10 hours, 8, 9, 10 hours to be out doing whatever you're doing. So that's on you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, that's on you.
It's true, because one that I did the most of the ports that I arrived to, we arrived at those ports at like 8, 9 o'clock ship time.
Yeah.
And we weren't due to be back on the ship until like, I believe, like 4 or 5 afternoon.
That's what I'm saying. It's a whole ship.
You get a good amount of time at each port to go out and explore or whatever and do your thing. You get a good enough time to go out there and do stuff. So if you do not get back, hey, that's on you, because on this last, I think it was only one port. I was the captain actually blew the horn to let people know, like, hey, really, we're about to leave, so you need to get back to the ship. And it was some ports we went to where they didn't sound no horn or nothing. They just unhooked the boat from the dock and was out of there.
Yeah.
So you make sure y'all is back on those ships on time. So I got one more clip before y'all go. So before we go, this is, I don't know how to describe this, but this was a man on Father's Day. And I swear, going forward, for fathers who are active fathers in their kids' lives and is a good father and do a good job as a father, next year, this is what I want y'all to do on Father's Day next year.
When he acts sassy, because it's Father's Day.
What he still doing in the car?
Waiting on you to let him in. Get him out.
Oh, he want to be sassy today. Y'all look at him looking like he old business man, a celebrity or something. Why he want to be taking his seat? Come on. He waiting on you to go first so the door can open. Get it, boy. Get it, boy. We gonna get this right here for Kendra now. Huh? I'll be glad when that day over with.
You walking like a stag. You better bug that horse now.
You want your window up or down?
Leave it up right now. Bag it up.
Happy Father's Day to all the real fellas out there. That's
A happy Father's Day. So
I like that.
for the audio listeners who want me to get the point of that. So this man, he fasty for Father's Day. He waited for them to open up the car door for him. He made for them to take off his seatbelt. They had to grab his hand as he got out the car. When they went into the store, he waited for them to open up the doors from these automatic doors. All he had to do was walk up the door, but he made them go to the doors to open up the doors and wait for them to open up the door and hold the door open for him. And then he walked around the stove, and then he found the shirt that he had wanted. He had to put his arms out, and they had to put the shirt up to him to make sure that it fit him nice and stuff. So then he walked to the store after that, just pointing at stuff they had to put in. He went in and put in the cart. He made them put the stuff in the car. And then he stood to the side and made his wife or daughter pay for it. And then he waited for them to open up the doors, both doors to the store again, and waited for them to open up the door to the car. He stood outside the car with his arms behind his back, waiting for them to open up the door and strap him back in his seatbelt when he got in. Happy Father's Day. To the real dads, that's how I want to see y'all act.
Out there, you deserve it. Yes.
I want to see y'all act like that on Father's Day. I want to see the videos. Please send them into the podcast, stddpodcast@gmail.com. Send us those videos. So with that being said, thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Same Cas Different Day podcast. I'm Martel Roland.
And I'm Tina.
Oh, we forgot to do final thoughts. Fuck, we should do final thoughts on next episode. Yeah, so we see y'all on the next episode of Same Cas Different Day podcast. We holla. All right, we'll see y'all. Okay. All right now.
See y'all.